what we're doing real quick. Well, not real quick. This is going to take a little bit. But we have decided. So last week we talked about perfect world rankings, what we wanted, blah, blah, blah.
Am I the only one that can't get over how stupid we are for not realizing that we wanted power rankings this whole time?
No, see, that's what happened was after we talked about it.
I feel like an idiot.
I saw a comment on last week's Grip Locked that said, I feel like you guys are talking about power rankings. And then I said, oh, it's exactly what I'm talking about. I want power rankings.
Power rankings are week by week.
Like, world rankings is exactly what they are, which is like much more history based.
Okay.
Because it should be hard to get number one in the world.
Yeah.
What we've been upset by is like recency bias isn't showing on world rankings, which it shouldn't, because we want power rankings. Which power rankings is like basketball top 25, like
so
currently.
It's like right now.
Like if number one loses to number 25, he's not number one anymore.
Because we want to look at the list, right? We would look at the list and be like, why are they there? Like we want it right now. Why? Like who is the best right now? Where are they right now? And that's just not how it works.
So
we're stupid.
On debate night, I explained it to Brody, and I was like, yeah, we want power rankings. And then he was like, yeah. I was like, I wasn't aware of that. I was just like, I was thinking of world rankings as power rankings, and it was frustrating
like,
me.
Who was going to tell us?
But no one was going to tell me. So,
come on.
We're about to.
I knew. I just wanted you guys to figure it out.
We are about to create the Grip Locked power rankings. I've done my research. Trevor's done his research. And basically what we're going to do.
You mean lack of research because you told me not to.
Well, no, I told you not to do the same research I was doing this morning because you started to, and then I realized that you were going to come to the same list I came to.
Yeah, well, the reasoning being common sense. Like there's only so
Trevor's
much.
basically going, how we're going to do this.
Mine is a lot more gut
I
feeling.
think this is what we should do every time we update it, is yours should be a gut list.
Okay.
Mine should be a stat list, and then we average them.
No, I think that you should
Not
then,
average.
No.
We then like debate back and forth and figure it out.
Yeah, no, I think it's just
because then it should pass the eye
is
test
almost
with
like
stats.
The control list. The stat. No, there doesn't need to be an eye test with a power ranking because if somebody says that's wrong and you can just throw a stat at them that is very clear and obvious, what are you gonna say?
So basically, what we're gonna do is top 10 MPO, top 5 FPO, and we'll update it after every big event. Like OTB Open.
Yeah.
Silver Series, we will update it, but we probably won't really. We might talk about it if there's like a big jump or something. But
it's
going to be very heavily recency biased, and this is basically going to be like who is the best player currently. Like if they step on the course right now, who is where.
Yes.
So we're going to start with number 10 on MPO.
Okay.
I have the one and only Mr. Nico LaCastro in my 10th place spot.
I have Joel Freeman at 10.
Okay. I do have Joel Freeman in my top 10.
Okay.
He's higher. But let me explain our reasoning for Nico. Is Nico in your top 10?
No.
Okay, let me explain our reasoning for Nico. I think he's getting slept on some this year. His worst finish all year, which has only been like 7 or 8 terms this year, worst finish all year is 30th, but his other 4 are all top 15s. Okay. So he's regularly finishing in the top 15. His 30th did come at the major, but when I compared him to like everyone that was around him in world rankings and stuff like that, it was hard to find someone to sneak above him that I didn't already sneak above him.
Okay.
So I'll be curious to see who you have on this list that I don't.
Yeah, we'll just have to compare and see who I snuck in that you didn't.
But tentatively, I have Nico there.
Okay.
Joel Freeman, I have as my 8th best, but we'll get there in a second.
Okay.
Number 9.
I have James Conrad.
Okay, I have him higher. I have Drew Gibson as number 9.
I have him at 8.
Okay, so Drew Gibson. So this is our first. We got to figure this thing out. So Drew Gibson, I think he's had a solid season, but I do think that James Conrad and Joel Freeman have both had better than Drew Gibson.
My whole reasoning with Drew Gibson was because of his win.
Well, here's the thing: is his win came at first tournament of the season.
Yeah.
Recently, he's been slipping a lot.
He has.
I think he's on the bubble.
What's his average finish though? Do you have it?
I don't have his average finish.
Because if his average finish is very close to James and Joel, but he has a win. Like if it's in like 1 or 2 places and he has a win, I gotta consider him better.
Well, because my thing is Joel Freeman. He had 2 top 5s early in the season, one of them being at Las Vegas, but recently he came in 6th at Jonesboro and top 15 finish at the first major of the year. Drew Gibson, I'll pull up his actual stats, but I don't think he could say. But
recently,
he can't
Joel
say the
Freeman,
same
as
either.
in yesterday, did have an awful finish.
He did. That he did. But Drew Gibson did beat him yesterday, actually. I do believe.
Yeah.
Let me bring up Joel Freeman.
I'm actually curious to see head to head because that's what I'm saying. Like,
you want to pull up the head to head on Statmando?
Yeah, because if Joel Freeman is very close
Yeah, because Joel Freeman recently, he went 26th at DDO, 6th at Jonesboro, 14th at Champions Cup, 4th at Texas State, 3rd at Waco. So it wasn't Las Vegas. I was incorrect there.
Is he not on here?
No, you had to. It's last name first.
Yeah.
Freeman.
Gibson does not do anything. Oh, this is totally in wait, what's going on right now? Why is it not?
You're in FPO.
Where is that selected?
No, you have to go all the way back. Go head to head.
I clicked on it from the SEO, so
Now hit MPO at the bottom.
All
right, so Drew Gibson recently has went 26th at DDO, 30th at Jonesboro. He did go top 10 at Champions Cup. You know what? I think you could sway me. Well,
let me pull up this.
I think, you know what? I could be swayed here. I could. If you want to.
Very big of you.
If you want to. So 10th place, we're still leaving empty right now because we don't know.
Okay, I'm going to get the...
We're arguing about 9th place right now.
I'm going to get a recent...
Oh, wait, no, I have Drew Gibson lower. Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Do it, Trevor. Swayed him.
Compare.
Enhance.
Head-to-head. Head-to-head this year.
What are we looking at? Read us some stuff.
Drew Gibson is 2-1-1 against Joel Freeman. What does that even mean?
That means he's beat him twice, lost to him once, and tied him once.
Okay.
So pretty similar. What's their top 10 percentages when they've both been in the same tournament?
25%, both of them.
Okay, so pretty similar. So pretty much the separating factor.
They are very. So that's what I'm saying. These two seem to be very.
So the separating factor is that Drew has a win. So I'm willing to bump Drew up. So now we need to talk James
Does that
Conrad.
mean that you're swayed?
I've been swayed. Wow. So I'm willing to put Joel Freeman in 9th. Does that sound good to you?
You can make a pair of Clarks out of you. You're swayed.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we're going to lock Joel Freeman in as the 9th best player in the world. That's our first lock-in, folks.
But now we need to compare Conrad.
We need to look at Conrad and Drew Gibson.
Yeah.
Conrad, I think we've given him...
Conrad?
I have him as 7th. But I think Conrad, we've given him too much crap on this show. He's having a very solid season, easily deserves a spot in top 10, no doubt there. He only has one finish outside the top 15 all year, and it was the first tournament of the year. Since then, he's not finished outside the top 15.
Conrad is 4-2 against Drew Gibson.
Yeah. I definitely think Conrad goes in 7th is where I have him locked in. I think Drew Gibson can bump up to 8. But especially recently, Conrad's been coming into form as Drew Gibson's been falling out of form, which I think that's very important.
That is a trend, and we recognize the trend.
So Drew Gibson 8, and I think Conrad goes 7. Who did you have as 10th?
Joel Freeman. I'm guessing this next one is gonna be the one that you don't have anywhere, which is Kyle Klein.
I do not have Kyle Klein anywhere in my top 10.
I had at 7.
Okay. So now Kyle Klein does not belong in the top 10.
Well, now I will say it. I just need to compare him to Nico
LaCastro. Go ahead.
I feel like we've given him. I just kind of threw him in there because we've kind of given him a lot of crap. And then he
hasn't had a great season this year.
Not great compared to what he would be expected to do. Yeah, no, he's gotten pooped on against Nico. He's 2-6. This guy's trash.
Well, like if you go to his actual, I'll pull up his actual profile.
Nico is honestly sick.
That's what I'm saying. But when you compare Nico to Drew, Joel, James, he's not beating them. Kyle Klein this year.
And they're also counting one of those wins as the All-Star weekend.
Yes. Yeah, so you have to factor that stuff in too. I looked through that. He's went 24th, 15th, 5th at the Silver Series, 25th, 10th at the Silver Series, 27th, 25th, 13th. So he just hasn't had anything great.
Yeah, okay.
Hasn't had anything bad, but I don't think Kyle Klein belongs in the top 10.
I'm trying to think who else would we compare Nico, because that 10th spot is such a tricky one.
You can compare Nico to Adam Hammes. He beats him. You can compare him... I went into the world rankings and compared him to everyone around him. Kale LaVisca, Adam Hammes, Kyle Klein.
I'm fine with that.
He was beating them all.
I'm fine with that.
Nico, I think Nico's one of the most fascinating players in disc golf because this man has arguably belonged in the top 10 since 2009. 2009, he was the best player in the world.
Since before then, probably.
Yeah. But 2009, he was the best player in the world. That's 13 years. This guy has been a top 10 player on and off, but I do think probably a lot more on.
He's probably one of the most underrated players
for 13
of all
years.
time.
Yeah. So Nico LaCastro, I think, belongs number 10.
Okay.
Number 6 on my list.
Matty O.
We both agree.
It's just kind of the
I'll explain why. He's an excellent season so far. One poor performance, if you can even call it that, which he came in 15th at Texas State's. So
yeah, he's been very consistent.
And I think he's a trending upwards player.
The thing is, though, Matty O to me just doesn't have win power for me. I don't think he's going to win anything.
I don't think you need to have win power to be in the top 10.
No, I don't think so either. But I think he's just going to stick there in that number 6 spot. because he's just kind of consistent.
All right, this next one's gonna hurt some feelings, and I'm ready.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
so I have Gannon at 5, but I know he's higher than
I have
that.
Paul Macbeth
Yeah.
at number 5 in the world.
Mm,
Here's the reason.
my feelings are hurt.
I'm ready to agree with you.
If you look
I
at
think
his
Gannon should be
season, he was having a solid season. He was. DDO, massive blemish, 51st place at DDO.
Yeah.
That's tough. Then just came in, I believe it's 9th at Masters Cup this past
Yeah.
weekend. If you compare him to Gannon Burr, who I have in 4th place, Gannon's beat Paul more than Paul's beat Gannon this year.
No, Paul has not been consistent at all. And
Yeah.
because the bottom line is, I bet at the end of the year that Paul will probably have more wins than Gannon. So
I'm sure.
We'll have to just look at things. Well, I don't even know if I'd bet that. But
As
there's a
you
good
go-
chance it could happen, but he's just too inconsistent. He's too streaky.
So I have Gannon Burr as my 4th place. His worst finish in his last 5 is 10th at DDO, neck and neck with Matty O overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Gannon's 2-1-1 against Matty O, and 4-1 against Paul in the last 5, 4-3 against Paul this season. So really, there could be an argument for Paul to slip to 6th. There could be one.
Yeah, I'm not
Do
ready.
you want to really
I'm
quickly
not ready to accept that.
just go on to Statmando and compare Matty O to Paul? Let's just look at that really quick. I compared James Conrad to Paul, I believe. Wasn't worth doing. Let's compare Matty O to Paul real quick. Just
This would be a tough.
for the facts.
This would be a tough one.
Just to look at. Here's
the facts.
Make sure
They're
All-Star
2
Weekend.
and 2.
Okay. Make sure All-Star Weekend's not in there. I don't think it is.
It's not.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're 2 and 2. I guess Matty-O. The one event, the Paul's win. I guess Matty-O wasn't there because that was when he had to drop out, I think.
All right, so I'm fine keeping it where it is.
Yeah.
Paul 5th, Matty O 6th. But yeah, Gannon, it's hard to argue. The last 5, he's 4-1 against Paul.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
This season, he's 4-3. So
I'm
both of
curious
those,
to see
Gannon has beat
Gannon-
Paul more than Paul's beat Gannon.
I'm like, what? Because I guess next we have to look at Calvin.
So I have Gannon Burr in 4th.
Mm-hmm.
3rd place, I have Calvin Heimberg.
Yes.
This is where Calvin belongs, in my opinion. There's this top 3. They're on a different echelon.
Yeah.
It's not really, you can't really compare.
Yeah,
like
no, he's 6-1
Gannon
and
doesn't
1 against
belong
Gannon.
in the top 3. Calvin doesn't belong in the top 2. He's a clear top 3 player. He has 1 Pro Tour win, only 1 finish outside the top 10. He's consistently a threat out there, but he doesn't compare to my number 2 and 1, Ricky and Calvin, or Ricky and Chris.
Yeah.
He doesn't compare to those two. He doesn't fit in the top 2, but he's definitely a top 3 player.
Yeah.
So pretty locked in at 3rd with Calvin Heimberg there, which leaves us with number 2 and number 1 in the world. And this is where my final shock value comes, because
Let's
number
hear it.
1 player in the world right now, without a doubt in my mind, is Chris Dickerson. I have Ricky Wysocki at number 2. And this goes against everything that I believed when I was writing this list.
Yeah, I just got to say really quick that
But I have
Calvin and
stats.
Ricky are a lot closer than you.
No.
Calvin and Chris are a lot closer than you think
No.
they are. Well,
No.
they are. They're
They're
4
not.
and 4 against each other.
They are 4-4 and directly
And Chris
compared to each other.
Dickerson has
But-
the major and a silver series.
But when you compare Chris, Ricky, and Calvin all together, Chris has come out in front 3 times over all 3 of them. Ricky and Calvin have come out in front
Right,
only
but
2
you
times.
got
all
to
3
go
of them.
head to head though. You can't just throw like a bunch of people in.
Well, no, but we're looking at the top 3. We agree they all 3 belong in the top 3. He's 4-4 when directly compared to Calvin, but Chris is 4-3 when directly compared to Ricky, and Ricky's 5-2 when directly compared to Calvin. So you can't argue to put Calvin above Ricky, and you can't really argue to put Ricky above Chris. And if you compare all 3 of them together, you can't argue to put anyone in front of the other 2 except for Chris.
What is Ricky versus Chris look
5-2, Chris versus Ricky. Or no, 4-3, Chris versus Ricky. 5-2, Ricky versus Calvin. So
Yeah.
Chris is 4-3, 4-4.
Yeah,
Calvin.
I would say because
But also one of Chris's wins was a major, which has got to be factored a
That's
little
what
bit.
saves him because
I don't think that's what saves him. I think there's a lot of other stats that save him.
but Ricky has 2 full-on Pro Tour wins, and then Chris's only other win was a Silver Series. So yeah, it does save him. I think
But he's beat Rick more than Rick's beat
one
him.
more time. I think, but
Yeah.
if he didn't win that major, if that was just a normal Pro Tour, it'd be close. It'd be very close.
It'd be close, but I'd
I'm
still
willing-
give the edge to Dickerson.
I maybe wouldn't, but I'm
Well, because also
but it
when you
doesn't
go
matter
head to
'cause-
head, the top 3, which like that's an important stat in my head because those 3 are the clear top 3, and Chris is the only one that's separated.
I
himself
mean,
from those.
I'm willing to concede that because
So
like
I think
said, it doesn't matter.
Ricky
right now.
does have 2 Pro Tour wins. He's also 5-2 when compared to Calvin this season. So Ricky's definitely number 2 in the world, and Chris Dickerson, I think, is the number 1 player in the world.
Wow. That is shocking, but I can't disagree with it.
That is The other problem with this power ranking though is Chris is about to not play for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that will hurt him.
So it's right now. This is
That
right
will hurt
now.
him.
Right. So as I'm saying, like next week, I'm
Because
probably gonna have to
Nico
drop
is
him.
also spending a month in Europe,
yeah,
which will also hurt him. Because basically what will end up happening is
Is
if
there
Ricky or
is there
Calvin...
nothing to be said to the fact that Ricky is 5-2 against Calvin, but Chris is only 4-4 with him? Is there nothing to be said to that?
I mean, what do you want to say?
Like Ricky dominates the third player in the world, whereas Chris is even with him. Does that not?
But Chris beats the second player, best player in the world. All that says to me is that Chris and Calvin have played against each other more.
Is that Chris and Calvin have played against each other more?
Yeah, because there's 8 tournaments.
One more time.
Okay.
And that's not significant. I don't know. I think it's very, very
Well, also
close.
my biggest thing is when you go Ricky, Calvin, Chris all together, they're neck and neck in every stat, all the way across the board. But Chris has come out ahead 3 times, whereas the other 2 have only come out ahead 2 times in that.
I
It's
mean,
like if they're there,
I'm fine leaving
because
it the way
if
it is.
all 3 are there, that's the strongest field possible, right?
Right,
We
but
can
if
agree with that.
guys aren't playing, like
But we
you
can agree
can't-
with that, right? If all 3 are there, they're the strongest field possible.
Yeah.
So Chris coming out ahead the most in the strongest field possible, that's
Right.
got to speak to something.
No, it does. It does. That's why I'm willing to agree with it. I'll be curious to see. I don't have all of it in front of me. I'm curious to see what people in the comments think.
Because basically there's been 7 tournaments where they're all 3 there, which I think is the 5-2 that Ricky is to Calvin. And in those same 7 tournaments, Chris is 4-3.
Yeah. No,
Which means that extra tournament that him and Calvin played, if you eliminate that, he's also 4-3 against Calvin.
yeah. No, I don't have a problem with it. I think
they both were at.
I think
forget where they're at.
Chris and Ricky are so interchangeable right now that I don't think putting either one at one.
I agree, and I think that if Ricky shows up and wins the OTB Open, he's number 1.
yeah,
Because it's gonna be tough
good
if you're
news
not
with
going
the power
out.
ranking is
Yeah.
you can literally just change it every
Well,
week.
that's the tough part. Is like if you're not going out west, like Chris, by the end of the West Coast swing,
He'd probably be
Chris
behind.
might be 3rd.
Yeah, well, yeah, or
He might even
let's
be
say,
4th.
Yeah, let's say Paul wins a couple, then
Yeah,
who knows what? Can
it's gonna be when you're not regularly playing.
That's power rankings for you, baby.
The power rankings are going to be very heavily recently biased, as you can tell by the top 10.
Yeah.
So Paul goes out and wins like 2 of the next 3. He's going to be right back in that top 3. Dickerson doesn't show up. Dickerson could slip as far as 5th or 6th, depending on how everyone up here plays.
That's how it's going to be.
So that's just how that's going to be. So to quickly recap, we have Chris Dickerson 1, Ricky Wysocki 2, Calvin Heimberg 3, Gannon Burr 4, Paul Macbeth 5, Matty O 6th, James Conrad 7, Drew Gibson 8, Joel Freeman 9, and Nico
I
LaCastro
couldn't
10.
tell you the last time I considered Paul outside the top 4, and I'll tell you, actually, never. That's when I last considered it.
Well, that's what, when I was like looking at this,
When I got started in disc golf, he was
I
already
made
a
the
2-time world
list.
champ.
Yeah.
I made the list and I wrote Ricky, Chris, Calvin, Paul, and he like went down. I wrote out my list and then I was like, all right, where are my holes? And then I started doing stats and I was like, okay, well, so we got to change that. Like, so that's where Chris and Rick came in. And then I looked at Gannon, who when he just won, I was like, because I had Gannon at 6th, I think. And I was like, I feel like Gannon belongs a little higher. And then I like did the math to him against Matty O, and I was like, oh, he definitely belongs from Matty O. And then did the math like, I was like, well, let's just make sure, fact check myself. And I was like, he belongs above Paul right now. And that was a hard one.
That's difficult.
That was a tough one. But you know what?
Gamber's
Gotta
good.
go with stats. This top 10, I'm very happy about. And I will say that we were very wrong because James Conrad does belong as high as he is. And we multiple times with the world ranks were like, how is James Conrad that high in the world? He belongs there. That's how.
These are the foundation power.
All right,
rankings.
that's Grip Block power
These are
rankings.
the grip block power rankings.
Yeah, Grip Block power rankings. If a different show wants to do their own, they can. But you know what? It's not gonna be as good as these. FPO, I think is pretty locked in. I'd be surprised if we had any arguments here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
5th place is the only questionable one to me. I think the top 4, we know who. Let's just do the top 4 because we know who's in the top 4. I think we both have the same top 4.
Chris and Ricky also have the exact same average finish. That's
Chris
crazy.
Dickerson won a major.
No, yeah, I was more so saying because I was just looking to see what that was, and I was like,
He's
wow,
4-3 against them.
they're so close.
They're very close, but he's beat him. Chris has beat Ricky more times and won a major.
No, I'm not. I'm not Hunter. I'm okay with it.
I know, but the comments aren't going to be. And I'm like,
Well, no, I encourage.
he's throwing stuff at us, but
No, I mean, I think
That's the bottom
there's
line
got
to
to be
me.
more statistics out there. So I'm just curious to see what they say.
like
I
what
don't-
other statistics? We're using just finishing places,
Yeah,
and we're not going back to last season. So like, if
Yeah,
you do
no,
both of
I
those,
think I feel like finishing places. It and like I the only thing I can see is if people are gonna weigh major plus Silver Series. The problem is Silver Series are so tricky, right? Though because like
I didn't look at anything outside of Silver Series.
right because
Either, because that's pointless.
Because Dickerson won the Open at Belton and that field was stacked. So
Yeah.
like because everybody was in Texas, so it's tough to even look at that and say, oh, he won a Silver Series because let's be honest, he
You
beat
do,
everybody
but
there.
you do need to weigh it a little less.
Well, you didn't wait a little less when you just said that all you looked at was who was when all three were there and all three were Open at Belton.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
so you didn't.
But one of his wins was a major. I wrote that in. The major win definitely.
No, the
was a big play.
wager for sure. The major for sure.
One of
needs
the
to be
big
weighed
things to
more.
me was the 3. But if Chris hadn't won anything and Ricky, if they were like this neck and neck and Ricky had 2 Pro Tour wins and Chris didn't have any wins or just one little Silver Series win.
Well, yeah, certainly.
Yeah, but like if he had a Silver Series and a Pro Tour win and they were this neck and neck, I think I'd still go Chris. If his only win, or if he had 2 Silver Series wins, I'd lean Ricky. If they were this neck and neck.
It's tricky.
So you do have to weigh some stuff, but